Okay. Good afternoon. Let us let us continue our discussion on Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. Okay, yung Republic Act 11232. Okay, let us proceed now dun sa classification of corporation. Okay, the primary classification of corporation is either stock and non-stock. However, if we look the definition of stock corporation under section 3, okay, of RA 11232, sabi dyan stock corporation daw, okay, ito yung corporation which have capital stock divided into shares and are authorized to distribute to the holders of such shares dividend or allotment of surplus profit on the basis of the shares held. In other words, para maging stock corporation siya, there are two requirements. First, okay, dapat meron siyang capital stock divided into shares. And second, authorized sila na mag-distribute ng dividend and surplus profit based on number of shares held. Now, how about the definition of non-stock corporation? Okay, ang ganda. Sabi diyan, all others are non-stock. Therefore, pag hindi na-meet yung dalawang requirement, okay, nung stock corporation, automatically are considered as a non-stock corporation. Kasi halimbawa, yung corporation inorganized, meron silang authorized capital stock divided into shares, pero prohibited silang mag-distribute ng dividend and surplus profit based on number of shares held, then that is a non-stock corporation. Kaya kung titingnan niyo yung definition ng non-stock corporation, dumping ground siya. Kapag hindi siya nag-fall sa stock, automatic they are considered as a non-stock corporation. Now, meron tayong other classification of corporations. Okay, as to number of persons, pwede raw siyang corporation aggregate. Okay, ito yung corporation that, okay, composed of more than one member, which is an ordinary corporation. Another is the corporation sole, which composed only of one member or corporator. Okay, normally ito applicable dito sa religious corporation. Okay, may tinatawag tayong corporation sole. Okay, actually before, meron na talagang one-person corporation pero applicable lang siya sa okay, corporation for religious. Pero under Republic Act 11232, meron tayong create ngayon ditong special corporation na tinatawag na one-person corporation composed only of one corporator that may engage in business or profit na. Okay, now i-discuss natin yung one-person corporation later on, okay, kasi special corporation siya. Another is whether religious purpose or not, pwede raw siyang ecclesiastical corporation. Bali, ang purpose niya is religious, or lay corporation, it means other than for religious purpose. And a lay corporation can either be an eleemosynary or a civil corporation. Now, ito common mistake class ng student. Okay. Lagi nilang nako-commit na error, okay, with respect or okay dun sa ecclesiastical saka dun sa eleemosynary. Lagi nilang nababaliktad. Okay, kaya check nyo lang pag sabing iglesia, di ba? Iglesia is simbahan. Kaya lumalabas religious yun. Yung isa naman limos, mga pulubi. Kaya lumalabas okay, mga charitable, okay, corporation. Kaya tandaan nyo yung isa, ecclesiastical, it means iglesia, kaya it means religious purpose yun. Pero pag, okay, ito yung eleemosynary, limos naman yung naririnig nyo, okay, it means that is a charitable corporation. Okay, yung civil naman, ito yung corporation na inorganized for profit. Now, as to country of creation, pwede raw siyang domestic or foreign. Now, pag sinabing domestic corporation, these are corporations that are created under Philippine law. Now, foreign corporation naman are corporation organized other than Philippine law. By the way, meron tayong test of nationality of corporation. Okay? Now, una yung tinatawag nating incorporation test as the, okay, general rule, and the control test as the exception. Now, under the incorporation test, the nationality of the corporation is determined by the law creating them. Okay? Kaya halimbawa, yung corporation create under Philippine law, then that is a domestic corporation. However, if the corporation is created under foreign law, then that is a foreign corporation. However, under the control test, ang test natin dito is the controlling stockholder. Like for instance, the corporation is organized under Philippine law, but the controlling stockholders are Japanese national. Now, under the control test, the nationality of the corporation is foreign. Okay? Kasi ang controlling stockholders are Japanese national. Or halimbawa, yung corporation is created under Philippine law but the controlling stockholders are Filipino citizen. Now, in that case, under the control test, that is a domestic corporation. Okay? Ibig sabihin, okay, lumalabas, okay, yun yung sinusundan natin sa control test. Controlling stockholders. By the way, yung control test, ginagamit lang in exceptional case. Okay? Halimbawa, in case of war or mga nationalized corporation. Kaya ang general rule, we are using the incorporation test. It means the nationality of the corporation is determined by the law creating them. In fact, even in the tax code, okay, ang ginagamit is still the incorporation test. Kasi di ba sabi nyo, pag domestic corporation, these are corporation organized under Philippine law. Okay, pag foreign naman, edi organized under foreign law. Yun nga lang, may tinatawag tayong resident and non-resident foreign corporation, okay, for purpose of taxation. Okay, another is the legal right to corporate existence. Okay, pwede raw siyang de jure or de facto. Pag de jure, ito raw yung corporation na nag-exist not only in fact daw. Okay, and also in law. Pero pag de facto corporation, these are corporation that exist only in fact but not in law. Ngayon, pag de jure corporation, it means kinomply nito all or substantially all the requirements set forth by law. Pero pag sinabing de facto corporation kasi, okay, wala siyang substantial compliance pero may tinatawag tayong colorable compliance. Okay, now bakit ko tinawag na colorable compliance? Kasi ang de facto corporation, nag-comply din naman sila. In fact, okay, nag-submit yan nag-draft yan ng article of incorporation, sinabit yan before the Securities and Exchange Commission, at na-issuehan din sila ng certificate of incorporation. Kasi pag wala kayong certificate of incorporation, hindi yan de facto corporation. That is a void or non-existing corporation. That is a mere association of persons. Yun nga lang, since defectively formed siya, okay, it means mayroon pa ring juridical personality ang de facto corporation. Okay, pero pwede siyang questionin ng state through a direct proceeding called quo warranto, initiated by the Solicitor General. Unlike kung sinabi kong void corporation, talagang non-existing corporation yan. That is a mere association of person with no separate juridical personality. Okay, in fact, okay, meron tatlong requisite ang de facto corporation. First, there must be a valid law creating them. Okay, ibig sabihin merong law na nag-create, okay, dun sa de facto corporation. Okay, and I'm referring to the general law. And at present law, I'm referring to Republic Act 11232. Before kasi yung Batas Pambansa Bilang 68. Okay, kasi take note, pag ang corporation ay create under special laws. Okay, meaning yung private corporation create under special laws. Now, that corporation is void or a non-existing corporation. Because the law that create that private corporation is unconstitutional kasi it will violate the provision under Article 12, Section 16 of the 1987 Constitution. Nang sinasabi natin before na ang private corporation can only be created through a general law. Since ang create sa kanya special laws, unconstitutional. Kasi I repeat, ang pwede lang create ng special laws is only public corporation, okay, yung provinces, cities, municipalities, barangay, saka mga government-owned and controlled corporation. Subject pa yan sa test of economic viability and for common goods. Okay, kaya yun yung una. Kailangan may valid law. And I'm referring to the general law. Okay, second, a bona fide intent to incorporate in good faith. Okay, it means nag-comply din sila. Kaya nag-draft ng article of incorporation. Second, okay, final yan before the Securities and Exchange Commission at na-issuehan sila ng Certificate of Incorporation. Kasi tandaan nyo, pag wala kayong Certificate of Incorporation, non-existing corporation siya. Ang tanong, meron na bang corporation by estopel? Answer, wala pa. Kasi mandatory requirement in a corporation by estopel, dapat meron kayong dealing with third person on a corporate basis. Kaya kung wala kayong dealing with third person on a corporate basis, non-existing corporation lang siya. That is a mere association or group of person lang with no separate juridical personality. Pero the moment na itong mere association of person with no separate juridical personality, nakipag-transact yan sa third person on a corporate basis, doon lang makikreate yung tinatawag na corporation by estopel. And the third requirement is, okay, they exercise corporate powers. Okay, kaya yun yung tatlong requisite ng de facto corporation. Kaya tandaan nyo ha, ang de facto corporation, meron siyang juridical personality separate and distinct from the stockholders composing it until questioned by the state through a direct proceeding called quo warranto, initiated by the Solicitor General. Okay, another is close or open. Parang bata lang yan, di ba? Close, open. Kaya pag close corporation, ito yung corporation na limited lang to selected person. In fact, under the corporation law, the maximum number of corporators in a closed corporation is only 20. Okay, open corporation is open to any person siya. Relation to other corporation, pwede raw siyang parent or subsidiary. Of course, familiar na kayo sa parent corporation. Ito yung corporation na meron siyang stock ownership na more than 50% ng another corporation. Meaning, may voting rights siya na more than 50% of another corporation. Pero pag subsidiary naman, dito yung acquiree ng parent company. Okay, next. Okay, whether true or limited sense. May tinatawag tayong true corporation saka quasi-corporation. Pag true corporation, ito talaga yung totoong corporation. Pero pag sinabi kasing quasi, di ba? Pag quasi, as if. Okay, hindi talaga siya corporation, pero as if corporation. And I'm referring to the corporation by prescription, saka yung tinatawag na corporation by estopel. Now, sa corporation by prescription, ito, okay, wala talagang corporation. Pero since nag-exercise sila ng corporate power since time immemorial, they are now treated as a corporation. Okay? Kaya yan exercise power for indefinite period without interference from sovereign power. Example nito is the Roman Catholic Church. Okay? Baka hindi pa nag-exist yung Republic, nandyan na yung mga Roman Catholic. Another is corporation by estopel. Sa corporation by estopel, wala talagang corporation din. However, okay, since yung group of person with no separate juridical personality nakipag-transact sa third person on a corporate basis, now ititreat sila as corporation by estopel in order to protect the interests of an innocent third person. Next, whether public or private purpose. Pag public corporation, yan yung provinces, cities, municipalities, barangay. Private naman, yan yung corporation and organized under the general law, which is now at present Republic Act 11232. Now, whether going public or not, pwede raw going public or pwedeng going private. In fact, it was already asked in the bar exam before. Okay, pag going public, it means they decided raw, yung corporation nag-decide na i-list yung shares sa stock exchange. Pero pag going private, ni-restrict yung shares to a certain group lang. Okay, now let us proceed now sa classification of shares naman. Okay, ang first classification of shares is par and no par. Di ba pag sinabing par value shares, ito yung shares of stock na merong nominal value na naka-indicate sa article of incorporation as well as in the certificate of stock. Pero pag non-par value, it means ito yung shares na wala siyang nominal value na naka-indicate sa article of incorporation as well as in the certificate of stock. Pero even they are no par value, but always meron silang tinatawag na stated value. At pwede siyang i-determine or i-fix ng article of incorporation. Second, pwede rin siyang i-determine ng board of director pursuant to the power conferred by the corporate bylaws. At pwede rin siyang i-determine ng majority ng outstanding capital stock in a regular special meeting called for that purpose. Now question, what are the distinction between a par and a no par value? Siyempre, unang distinction, pag par value shares, meron siyang nominal value, Pero pag no par, ay di wala siyang nominal value na naka-indicate sa article of incorporation saka sa certificate of stock. Second, pag par value shares, lahat ng corporation ay authorized to issue a par value shares. Pero sa no par value shares, may mga corporation na prohibited mag-issue ng no par. And I'm referring to the BPITB. Dagdagan mo na lang po. Dati kasi, under Batas Pambansa bilang 68, di ba lang yung binanggit nun eh? Bank, public utilities, insurance company, trust company, saka building and loan association. Pero dito, parang ano yun, taga BPI, PPI, kunwari BPI TB, po siya tuberculosis yun, di ba? Tapos po, magalang na. Dinagdag ito sa Republic Act 11232. Yung pre-need companies, saka other corporation authorized to obtain or access fund from the public, whether publicly listed or not. Kaya tandaan nyo itong dalawang to kasi yung examiner nyo, normally ang tinatanong niya yung distinction. Okay, or yung difference between Batas Pambansa bilang 68 and Republic Act 11232. Okay, kaya check nyo maigi. Lalo na yan, binold ko yan. Kaya ibig sabihin, malaki yung probability or chance na itanong yan sa board exam. Kaya tandaan nyo, may dinagdag sa RA 11232 na dalawa. Yung pre-need companies and other corporation authorized to obtain or access funds from the public, whether publicly listed or not. Third distinction, ang preferred shares dapat always with par value. Okay, kasi bawal kayo mag-issue ng preferred shares with no par value. Next distinction, sa par value shares, pwede mo tong i-fix for any amount. Unlike pag no par, bawal kayo mag-issue ng no par na ang consideration is less than 5 pesos. Kaya ibig sabihin, ang minimum issuance price natin for no par is at least 5. Next, sa par value shares, hindi raw ito deemed fully paid and therefore accessible siya. Kaya pwedeng habulin ng corporate creditors yung subscriber for the unpaid subscription. Unlike in case of no par value shares, sabi ng batas, once issued, these are deemed fully paid and therefore non-accessible. Kaya ibig sabihin, once sinubscribe, that is fully paid, deemed fully paid siya. In fact, before may natanong na sa board exam na ganyan, parang ang tinanong siguro is no par value. Kaya pag chinek mo yung problem, di ba may nakalagay na provision under section 13 of BP 68 before pa to prior to RA 11232. Sinasabi kasi ng section 13, na at least 25% ng authorized capital stock must be subscribed and at least 25% ng total subscription must be paid. But in no case should the paid up capital be less than 5,000 pesos. Pag minultiply mo ng 25% si authorized, tapos tinimes mo ng 25% yung total subscription, not less than 5, lumalabas lahat, parang andun yung sagot. Pero by the way, baka hindi napansin ng examine na meron palang nakalagay na baka no par pa lang tanong siguro. Ang problema kung no par value shares ang question dyan, dapat, tingnan nyo, once na sinubscribe, dapat fully paid siya. Kasi yan ang sinasabi ng batas na kapag no par value shares dyan, once issued, meaning issued dyan, sinubscribe once issued, these are deemed fully paid and therefore non-accessible. And the last distinction is that in par value shares, ang legal capital lang is only issued and subscribed to the extent of par. Kaya di ba, tinanong kayo for instance sa FAR, sa legal capital. Para makompute mo yung legal capital, add mo lang yung ordinary share at par, plus preference shares at par, plus subscribe ordinary shares at par, plus preference share, subscribe preference shares at par. In other words, yung share premium is not part of legal capital. Samantalang sa no par value shares, ang sabi ng batas, the entire consideration received becomes part of legal capital and therefore hindi siya available for dividend distribution. Kaya ibig sabihin, pagdating sa no par, tandaan nyo, lahat-lahat ng na-receive nyo. Yan ay magiging part ng legal capital. Kasi ang sinasabi dyan, the entire consideration received becomes part of legal capital and therefore hindi siya available for dividend distribution. Okay, ngayon i-remind ko lang kayo ha, uli. Okay, sa BB 68, 5 lang ang prohibited na corporation na mag-issue ng NOPAR. Acronyms is BPITB. Okay, pero dun sa RA 11232, ginawa na siyang BPITB. Tapos dagdagan mo lang po. Okay, kaya dinagdag yung pre-need companies saka other corporation authorized to obtain or access fund from the public, whether publicly listed or not. Next, punta tayo sa voting versus non-voting. Siyempre, pag sinabing voting shares, ito yung shares of stock na meron siyang voting rights. Okay, meaning they are entitled to vote during the stockholders meeting. Samantalang pag non-voting shares, these are shares of stock na classified na hindi sila entitled to vote during the stockholders meeting. By the way, under the corporation code, ang sabi dyan, only those classified as preferred or redeemable shares may be denied of voting right. Kaya ibig sabihin, ang pwede lang tanggalan ng voting powers are only those classified as preferred saka redeemable shares. Pero syempre may question ka. Ibig bang sabihin, sir, pag preferred sa redeemable shares, automatic wala silang voting powers? The answer is no. Pwede pa rin silang bigyan ng voting rights kung walang denial sa article of incorporation. Kasi ang nakalagay sa batas, may be denied of voting right lang. Kaya pwede silang tanggalan. Pero syempre, normally sa practice, once na yan ay preferred, tinatanggalan talaga sila ng voting rights. Naka-state yan sa article of incorporation. Pero kung hindi mo nilagay yan, it means they are entitled to vote as a rule. Now, okay, pero take note, pwede bang lahat ng classes or series of shares has no voting rights? The answer is no. Kasi ang sabi ng batas, there must be at least one class or series of shares which has a complete voting right. Kailangan meron tayong at least one class or series of shares na may complete voting right. Kaya hindi pwedeng lahat ay walang voting powers. In fact, pag walang naka-state na preferences in the article of incorporation, all shares are presumed to have equal rights. Ngayon, pag non-voting, I repeat, ito yung mga shares na classified as non-preferred or non-voting preferred or non-voting redeemable shares. Okay, pero take note class even they are classified as non-voting preferred or non-voting redeemable shares, they are still entitled to vote in 8 instances. Ngayon, gusto kong i-memorize nyo tong 8 to. Now, bakit kailangan kabisado nyo tong 8 ito? Kasi una, pag kabisado mo tong 8 na to, alam mo na kagad yung 8 instances na yung non-voting preferred and non-voting redeemable shares, okay, are entitled to vote pa rin. Kasi yan yung instances na kahit classified sila as non-voting preferred or non-voting redeemable shares, they're still entitled to vote on that matter. Pero pag hindi kasama dyan at classified ka non-voting preferred or non-voting redeemable shares, automatic, hindi ka entitled to participate sa pag-vote. Okay, in fact, pag binasa mo yung next paragraph niyang section 6 na yan, ang sinasabi dun, okay, lahat ng hindi kasama dyan sa 8 na yan, okay, ibig sabihin, pag sinabing non-voting ka, okay, hindi ka talaga makakaboto. Kasi dyan ka lang makakaboto sa 8 instances na yan pag ikaw ay classified as non-voting preferred or non-voting redeemable shares. And what are those instances? Okay, yan yung una na reason kung bakit kailangan memoryado mo yan. Pangalawa, pag kabisado mo yung 8, meron ka na kagad alam na 8 voting requirements. Kasi lahat yan, except number 2, okay, yung pangalawa, yung adoption amendment ng bylaws. Ang voting requirements yan, lahat ay majority ng board of directors and at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock. Ang naiba lang, si adoption and amendment ng bylaws. Ngayon, ilan bang voting requirements natin for adoption and amendment ng bylaws? Sa amin, adoption kasi, dalawa yan eh. Pwede kang mag-adapt ng corporate bylaws before or pwede kang mag-adapt ng corporate bylaws after. Ngayon, pag nag-adapt ka ng corporate bylaws before incorporation, kailangan yan i-approve ng all incorporators. Pero pag yan ay inadapt ang corporate bylaws after incorporation, meaning after the issuance of the certificate of incorporation, okay, kailangan i-approve ng majority ng outstanding capital stock. Pero siyempre sa practice, kapag nag-adapt ng bylaws, yung SEC normally, i-required na kayong mag-submit. Pag-submit nyo ng article of incorporation, dapat nakatouch na dito yung corporate bylaws. Pero actually, kung titingnan mo yung provision sa corporation law, meron kayong option na mag-adapt ng bylaws after the issuance na ng certificate of incorporation. Okay, in fact, under BP 68, dapat within 30 days upon the receipt of the issuance of the certificate of incorporation, dapat within 30 days or 1 month, kailangan mag-adapt kayo ng corporate bylaws in accordance with law. Otherwise, ground dyan for the revocation ng certificate of incorporation by the SEC. Pero under Republic Act 11232, yung 30 days period na yon tinanggal. Kaya mas mahaba na yung period ninyo para mag-adapt ng corporate bylaws after the issuance na ng certificate of incorporation by the SEC. Ngayon, pag amendment ng corporate bylaws naman, tandaan nyo na lang, yung major. Majority ng board of directors and majority ng outstanding capital stock. Pero take note, pwedeng i-delegate ng stockholders sa board of director ang pag-amend ng corporate bylaws by vote of at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock. Ibig sabihin, pag dinelegate ng stockholder sa board of director, ang pag-amend ng corporate bylaws, hindi na kailangan ang vote ng stockholder. Pero medyo mabigat yung voting requirements kasi 2/3 ng outstanding capital stock. And take note, in order to revoke the power delegated to the board, kailangan lang na present yung majority ng outstanding capital stock. Madali siyang tandaan. Mahirap i-delegate, which is 2/3, pero madali siyang i-revoke, which is majority ng outstanding capital stock. Tapos the rest, lahat yan ang voting requirements na is majority ng board of director and at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock. Pero by the way, paki-check nyo na lang yung tables na ginawa ko. Minsan kasi pinapa-identify ng examiner kung approve ba siya or ratified ng 2/3 ng outstanding capital stock. Kaya dapat i-check nyo doon sa table kung yan ba ay approve or ratified. Now, another class, meron akong gustong i-emphasize. Pag binasa mo yung provision sa law, doon sa number 1, yung amendment ng article of incorporation, ang nakalagay na voting requirement dyan is majority ng board of director and vote or written assent ng at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock. Now, bakit ko ine-emphasize yung vote or written assent ng at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock? Kasi, ibig sabihin, pag ordinary amendment lang ng articles of incorporation, hindi kailangan ng meeting. Kasi pwede siyang vote or written assent ng at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock. Except pag merong tinamaang specific provision sa corporation law na nagre-required ng meeting. Kaya sundan mo siya. Kasi halimbawa, mag-a-amend lang kayo for instance ng corporate name. Wala namang tinamaang specific provision sa corporation code na kailangan ng meeting. Kaso first item yan sa article of incorporation, kaya dapat mag-amend ka ng article. Pero since walang nakalagay na requirement for meeting, general rule, majority ng board of director and vote or written assent ng at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock. Pero pag may tinamaang specific provision sa corporation law na nagre-required ng meeting, susundan mo siya. Sabi mo, sir, can you give an example of instances under the corporation code that there must be a meeting? Example natin dyan is amendment ng article of incorporation for the increase of capital stock. May tatama ang provision sa corporation dyan na kailangan may meeting yan, whether regular or special meeting called for that purpose. Kaya hindi na pwedeng vote or written assent lang ng at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock. Kaya, tandaan nyo ha, basta't general rule, kung mag-a-amend ka ng article, at walang tinamaang specific provision sa corporation code na nagre-required ng meeting, it means the rule is that pwedeng vote or written assent lang ng at least 2/3 ng outstanding capital stock. Pero pag may tinamaang specific provision sa corporation code na nagre-required ng meeting, sundan mo na siya. Okay, ngayon, meron na emphasize sa number 3. Kailangan dito sale, lease, exchange, mortgage, pledge, or other disposition of all. Tandaan nyo dapat all or substantially all. Siyempre may tanong, kasi paano kung hindi po yan all or substantially all? Hindi kailangan ng stockholders meeting dyan. Kasi that is within the power of the board of directors lang. Kaya ibig sabihin, non-voting shares are not entitled to vote. Kasi hindi nga kailangan ng stockholders approval yan. Okay? Pero ang tanong, kailan siya considered all or substantially all? May definition yan sa batas. Sinasabi ng batas, considered siyang sale ng all or substantially all ng corporate property when it would render the corporation incapable of performing its function as is stated in the article of incorporation. In other words, kapag binenta raw itong mga asset na ito, okay, ni-lease or in-exchange siya, minorcage or pledge, magiging inutil, lumpo, walang silbi na ang korporasyon. Kasi hindi na niya kayang i-perform yung kanyang primary function as is stated in the article of incorporation. Kaya consider na siyang sale ng all or substantially all of corporate property. Kaya lumalabas, kailangan ko na ng majority vote ng board of director and at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock. Pero take note, kung hindi naman yan all or substantially all ng corporate property, it means vote lang siya ng board of directors. Kailangan ko lang ng majority ng quorum ng board of director present with a valid quorum. Okay? Now, tandaan nyo importante kasi tinatanong yan eh. Okay? Kung halimbawa, ordinary transaction lang yan. If there are 15 directors, ang quorum ng 15 is 8. Kaya pag ang umattend ay 9, kailangan ko ng 5 lang, 5 votes lang ng BOD present with a valid quorum. But if there are 15 directors, okay, if there are 15 directors, ang umattend ng meeting is only 7. Kahit bumoto yung 7 na yan, invalid act yan because there is no valid quorum. Kasi ang quorum nga ng 15 is 8. Kaya dapat may quorum. Pero dito sa mga binanggit dito, kailangan ko ng majority ng board of director. That's why if there are 15 directors, you need 8. Another class, emphasize ko lang to increase or decrease of capital stock. Kaya either paakyat or pababa. Dali lang, gagamit tayo ng pula. Okay, laser pointer. Increase, paakyat. Okay, pababa. Okay, kaya increase or decrease yan. Okay, ibig sabihin, kailangan ng majority ng board of director and at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock. Pero pansinin mo yung sumunod, incurring, creating, or increasing banded indebtedness. Kaya ibig sabihin, pagdating sa bonds, increase lang. Sabi mo, sir, paano pag decrease? Hindi yan covered dito. Kaya ibig sabihin, ordinary act lang ng corporation yan. Kaya kailangan ko lang ng majority ng board of director present with a valid quorum lang. Hindi kailangan ng stockholders approval yan. And therefore, non-voting shares are not entitled to vote. Okay? Kaya tandaan nyo, pero tandaan nyo pag stock up or down siya. Pero pag bonds, paakyat lang. Once na payment ng banded indebtedness yan, hindi kailangan ng stockholders approval. Another is investment ng corporate fund in another corporation or business except when the investment by the corporation is reasonably necessary to accomplish its primary purpose as is stated in the articles of incorporation. Kaya tandaan nyo, pag ang investment ng corporate fund ay reasonably necessary for the attainment ng primary purpose ng corporation, hindi kailangan ng stockholders approval. Pero pag ang investment ng corporate fund ay for secondary purpose lang, kailangan na ng stockholders approval. Therefore, yung mga non-voting shares are entitled to vote. Kasi fundamental changes yan sa corporation. Sabi mo, sir, bakit? Kasi kung, imagine nga naman, kung magkakaroon kayo ng investment ng corporate fund, hindi naman pala reasonably necessary for the attainment ng primary purpose, secondary purpose, hindi yan yung primary objective ng corporation. At may tendency kung malos yan, mape-prejudice yung interest ng stockholders. That's why kailangan ng stockholders approval. Pero kung yan ay reasonably necessary for the attainment ng primary purpose ng corporation, it means ordinary transaction lang yan. Kasi yan yung major or primary objective ng corporation kung bakit siya create. Therefore, that is just an ordinary management lang. How about merger or consolidation? O yan, merger, saka consolidation, saka dissolution ng corporation. Kaya tandaan nyo ha, lahat ito. Okay, kailangan, okay, na makakaboto dito even mga classified as non-voting preferred and non-voting redeemable shares. Kaya ibig sabihin, yung tinutukoy ko dyan class na 2/3 ng OS, voting and non-voting shares dapat yun. Kasi yung lumalabas yung mga classified na non-okay voting shares na preferred and redeemable, okay, it means okay makakaboto sila dito. Okay, now, next. Common shares daw or common stock has equal right. Sabi dyan, except as otherwise provided in the article of incorporation is stated the certificate of stock, each share shall be equal in all respects to every other share. Kaya ibig sabihin kung wala kayong nilagay sa article of incorporation na preferences, whether preferred as to asset or preferred as to dividend, ang rule is that all shares has equal right. Kaya lahat sila, isa lang ang classification, ordinary shares lang. Kaya ibig sabihin kung hindi kayo nag-classify sa article of incorporation, ang presumption is lahat yan ay ordinary shares and therefore may equal rights lang. Preferred stock naman are preferred shares of stock issued by any corporation may be given preference daw in the distribution of asset. Ito tinatawag na preferred as to asset. Kaya pag nagkaroon ng liquidation, unang babayaran yung preferred kesa sa ordinary shareholder. Okay, or pwede rin siyang preferred as to dividend. Kaya ibig sabihin pag nagkaroon ng dividend declaration, unang babayaran si preferred, bagong babayaran si ordinary shareholder. Or pwedeng such other preferences as may be stated in the article of incorporation. Okay, di ba yung preferred kasi, di ba may tinatawag tayong cumulative, non-cumulative, participating, saka non-participating. Now, pag sinabing cumulative, di ba ito yung preferred shares na entitled sa tinatawag na best dividend in arrears. Kaya halimbawa, yung mga previous year na walang declaration of dividend, pag later on nag-declare ng dividend, dapat bayaran muna yun. Pero pag sinabing non-preferred, non-cumulative shares, it means yung mga past years na walang dividend declaration at biglang nag-declare ng dividend this year, wala na yun. Okay, forfeit, kumbaga parang lumalabas forfeited, hindi ka entitled doon sa mga past dividend in arrears. Okay, ngayon pag sinabi namang participating, di ba? Pag nakatanggap na yung preferred shareholders ng kanyang fixed rate, at nabigyan na rin si ordinary shares ng okay, similar rate, same as preferred, yung balance makikihati pa yung preferred stockholder. Pero pag sinabing non-participating, it means pag nabigyan na ang preferred shares ng fixed rate niya, then the entire balance goes to the ordinary shares. Okay? O yan, natutunan nyo rin yan of course sa accounting. Okay? Now, promotion stock are shares of stock issued to the promoter. Okay, the promoter is the person who bring together all persons who are interested to bring the corporation into corporate existence. Share in escrows, okay, ito yung shares of stock na naka-deposit normally sa third person. At yan ay subject to certain condition bago siya i-release, which is normally the payment of the entire okay, subscription price. Sabi dyan, subject to agreement when the stock is deposited to third person and kept by the depositary until the condition, yan, ibig sabihin kailangan ma-fulfill yung condition contained in agreement happen. Now, convertible stock is a shares of stock that may be converted into other security or other shares. Okay? Ayaw nitong gulaw. Now, another yung tinatawag nating founder shares. Sabi dyan, founder shares daw may be given certain right and privileges not enjoyed by the owner of other stock. Okay? Ngayon, alam mo kasi yung founder, sabi, founder ka ng corporation. Tapos gusto mo magkaroon ng assured seat sa board of director for okay, a maximum period of 5 years. You create a founder shares. Kasi yung founder shares, pwede mo siyang bigyan ng tinatawag na exclusive right to vote and be voted for a maximum period of 5 years from the date of incorporation. Actually, almost the same lang naman siya eh. Binago lang yung wording. Kasi sinasabi sa BP 68, 5 years period shall commence from the date of the aforesaid approval by the SEC. Approval which is the issuance of the certificate of incorporation. Ito naman 5 years from the date of incorporation. Eh di ba under the law kasi the corporation commences legal personality from the time of the issuance ng certificate of incorporation by the SEC under its officials. Okay, ngayon may dinagdag lang doon sa RA 11232, may binanggit na specifically yung limitation na hindi pwedeng gamitin ng founder shares. Okay, kung mababiolate yung provision ng Anti-Dummy Law, Foreign Investment Act of 1991, saka other pertinent laws. Now, may question ako. Ang founder shares ba, pwede siyang bigyan ng certain right and privileges more than 5 years? Okay, the answer of course is yes. Kasi ang may limit lang ng 5 years is with respect to the exclusive right to vote and be voted. But of course with other rights, pwede siyang more than 5 years. Kaya yung limitation ng 5 years I'm referring only to the exclusive right to vote and be voted. Kaya halimbawa, ako founder ako ng corporation, nag-create kami ng founder shares. Ngayon, nilagyan namin ng exclusive right to vote and be voted. Kami lang ang entitled to vote for the period of 5 years. Kami lang ang makakasit sa BOT. Pero once nag-lapse yung 5 years dito, then restored ang right to vote. Okay? Kaya yan, assurance lang ng mga founders yan, okay, na silang magiging member ng board of director for a maximum period of 5 years. Another is redeemable shares. Redeemable shares must be expressly so provided in the article of incorporation. Kailangan naka-state yan sa article of incorporation. Okay, purchase or taken up by the corporation upon the expiration of a fixed period regardless of the existence of unrestricted retainers. Tingnan niyo to Ang redeemable shares kasi, ito yung shares of stock na classified sa article of incorporation na authorize yung corporation na i-acquire to, na re-acquire yung shares na ito pag dumating yung period na naka-indicate sa article of incorporation. Regardless, okay, of the balance of the unrestricted retained earnings. Ibig sabihin kay may balance siyang wala, okay, pwede kayong mag-reacquired or mag-redeem ng company's own share. Which is exception to the general rule. Kasi pagdating sa ordinary treasury shares, okay, di ba, ang treasury shares are company's own shares which already been issued and fully paid but subsequently reacquired by the corporation either by purchase, donation, redemption, or some other lawful means. Siyempre, mas broader yung treasury shares. Kasi kung ordinary treasury shares siya, bago makapag-acquire ng corporation ng treasury stock, kailangan may balance kayo ng unrestricted retained earnings. Otherwise, violation yan ng tinatawag na trust fund doctrine. Kasi di ba under the trust fund doctrine, yung corporate asset, hinohold lang daw, okay, ng corporation as a mere trustee for the benefit ng corporate creditors. Kaya bawal kayo mag-distribute ng dividend during existence ng corporation as a rule, okay, unless authorized by law. Okay, and provided further na may balance kayo ng unrestricted retained earnings. Now, pero dito sa redeemable shares, kahit wala kayong balance ng unrestricted retained earnings, the corporation is authorized to redeem its company's own share once nag-arrive yung period na naka-indicate sa article of incorporation. Kaya yan ay exception to the general rule. Okay? Now, okay, wait lang, break lang tayo for 2 minutes. Okay? Let's go back here sa redeemable shares. Basta tandaan nyo, kailangan expressly provided siya sa article of incorporation. Hindi sa bylaws dapat sa articles lang. Pangalawa, okay, pwede kayong mag-redeem ng company's own shares once nag-arrive yung period na naka-state sa article of incorporation regardless of the existence of unrestricted retained earnings. Pero I repeat, sa ordinary treasury shares, dapat bago kayo makapag-acquire ng company's own share, dapat meron kayong balanse ng unrestricted retained earnings, otherwise violation siya ng trust fund doctrine. In fact, sa accounting, di ba pag nag-acquired kayo ng treasury stock, nagde-debit kayo ng treasury stock at cost. Tapos credit kayo ng cash. Okay? Tapos may isang entry pa kayo, which is the appropriation. Kaya debit kayo ng unrestricted retained earnings, credit, okay, appropriation for retained earnings for treasury shares. Okay? Ngayon, kapag halimbawa yung treasury shares ni-reissue nyo, debit kayo ng cash, credit kayo ng treasury shares, and credit kayo ng share premium treasury shares, if any. Okay, tapos another entry, ibabalik nyo yung appropriation sa unrestricted retained earnings. Kaya debit kayo ng appropriation for retained earnings for appropriated retained earnings for treasury shares and credit unrestricted retained earnings. Kaya lumalabas, bumalik na siya sa unrestricted. Kaya lumalabas, available na uli yan for dividend distribution. Pero pag dating sa redeemable shares, hindi kailangan na may balanse ang unrestricted retained earnings. And of course, the terms and conditions must be stated in the article of incorporation as well as in the certificate of stock. Pero ito, dinagdag to sa RA 11232. May binanggit na dyan na subject to the rules and regulation issued by the Commission. Okay, punta tayo sa treasury stock. Sabi dyan sa batas, ang treasury shares daw are company's own shares which have been issued and fully paid. By the way, may comment lang ako dito sa treasury stock, sa definition ng batas. Kasi parang medyo inaccurate siya. Nakalagay dyan, issued and fully paid. Eh paano kung halimbawa, may instances na may subscriber, di ba? Nag-subscribe, tapos pagdating nung period, okay, nagbayad ng down payment, yung balanse, di ba, payable yan on the date fixed in the contract of subscription. Eh, hindi nagbayad. Nag-lapse yung 30 days. Okay? Dineclared as delinquent shares. Siyempre, gagawin ng corporation, either habulin, judicial remedy, mag-file ng case against the delinquent subscriber for unpaid subscription, for collection of sum of money. Or second is extrajudicial remedy. Pwede siyang ibenta sa public sale. Eh ang problema, nung binenta sa public auction, walang highest bidder. In that case, the corporation can acquire its own share. It becomes a treasury stock. Ang tanong, fully paid ba siya? Hindi, di ba? Pero by the way, okay, yan ang nakalagay sa batas. Pero doon kasi trinate na yan as fully paid na. Okay, kapag yung corporation ang nag-acquire ng delinquent shares. Tapos binanggit dyan, okay, either naging treasury stock yan kasi pinurchase or pwedeng ni-redemption, redeem, donation, or other lawful means. Kaya mas broader yung treasury shares. Pero syempre, general rule nga sa treasury shares, bago kayo mag-acquire ng company's own share, dapat may balance kayo ng unrestricted retained earnings. And of course, treasury shares may be reissued or disposed for a reasonable price fixed by the board of directors. Now question, pwede ba kayong mag-reissue ng treasury stock less than par? The answer of course is yes. Kasi wala naman nakalagay sa batas na hindi siya pwedeng i-issue less than par. Ang limitation lang niya, kailangan ma-dispose mo siya for a reasonable price fixed by the board of directors. Pero kung i-reissue mo yung treasury stock totally, okay, without any consideration, then it becomes a watered stock. Yung prohibition sa issuance na less than par, I'm referring only to the original issuance. The law refers only to the original issuance, but it does not apply with respect to treasury stock. Kasi yung treasury stock, Okay, na-issued na yan eh. Yun nga lang, nire-acquire mo lang. Kaya yung original issuance, pag par value, bawal kayo mag-issue ng shares less than par. Otherwise, the difference between the par value and issuance price are considered as watered. At take note, lahat ng director na nag-authorize, okay, as well as director having knowledge thereof and failed to file an opposition in writing before the corporate secretary are solidary liable. Tandaan nyo, solidary liability yan. Okay lang lahat ng director na nag-authorize at yung director daw, although hindi ka nag-authorize kasi nag-abstain ka kunwari, kasi hindi ka nag-file ng opposition in writing before the corporate secretary, kasama kang solidary liable. Pero yung watered shares dun, referring to original issuance, but not with respect to a treasury shares. Kaya kahit less than par, as long as that is reasonable price, fixed by the board. Okay? But of course, what is reasonable is a question of facts depending upon the circumstances of each particular case. Now, what are the distinctions between corporators and incorporators? By the way, let us define first. Incorporators are corporators of the corporation who originally formed the corporation and signatories in the article of incorporation. Kaya may dalawang requirement para maging incorporators kayo. Una, ikaw yung kasama sa original nag-form ng corporation at pangalawa, signatory ka sa article of incorporation. Sabi mo, sir, paano kung kasama akong original nag-form? Pero hindi naman pala ako signatory sa article of incorporation. In that case, you are not an incorporator. You are just a corporator. Kasi mandatory requirement niya na kailangan signatory ka sa article of incorporation. Now, question, what are the distinctions? Okay, number one as to, number. Sa incorporators, dati kasi nakalagay sa BP 68 is not less than 5 but not more than 15. In-amend na yan. Repealed na yan ng RA 11232. Ang nakalagay na lang dun, not more than 15. Saka nakalagay sa batas pati is any person na. Kasi dati, ang incorporators must be a natural person. Okay? Kaya ibig sabihin, yung corporation as partnership, hindi sila pwedeng maging incorporators before. Pero ngayon, ang nakalagay na sa RA 11232, any person, partnership, association, or corporation, the number of is not more than 15. Kaya ibig sabihin, maximum number is 15. By the way, the question is, how about, sir, ng minimum number? 1 ba, sir? 1? Hindi. Kasi pag tinanong ka ng ordinary corporation, that is minimum of 2. And then of course, clarify na yan ng sectro circular. Dapat minimum of 2, maximum of 15. Sabi mo, sir, di ba may OPC po na 1? Yung 1, I'm referring only to one person corporation and that is a special corporation. Pero kung ordinary corporation yan, dapat minimum of 2, maximum of 15. How about corporator, sir? Yung corporator, ang number niyan ay nakadepende sa capital stock. Sabi, sir, possible ba that there are 1 million corporators? The answer, of course, is yes. By the way, before, pag tinignan mo sa mga, para I think nare-recall ko before sa high school, sabi sa amin, ilan ba ang sole proprietor? 1 lang, sir. Puchang galing, di ba? Sole nga eh. How about partnership? 2 hanggang 5 daw. Inaccurate yun. Kasi ang sabi ng batas sa 1767, 2 or more person by themselves to contribute money, property, interest to common fund with intention of dividing the profit among themselves. 2 or more, di walang limit. Kaya hindi dapat 2 hanggang 5 lang. How about yung corporation? Ang sabi nila, 5 to 15 daw. That is also inaccurate because yung 5 to 15 referring to incorporators pursuant to BP 68. Pero tandaan nyo, wala na yun. Ngayon is any person, not more than, any numbers not more than 15. Kaya minimum of 2, maximum of 15. Pangalawa, ang corporators hindi yan signatory sa article. Samantalang incorporators ay signatory yan sa article of incorporation. And last, yung corporators, the moment they dispose their shares of stock, they cease to be a corporators. Pero pag incorporators ka, kahit i-dispose mo lahat ng shares of stock mo, you cease to be a corporators. but you remain to be an incorporator. Kasi once na yung corporation ay the duly organized na, permanent record na yan ng SEC, kaya lumalabas kahit i-dispose mo lahat ng shares mo, you cease to be a corporators but not as an incorporator. Now, okay, let us proceed now sa steps in organizing a corporation or in creating a corporation. May tatlong stages daw ito eh. Ang first stage yung tinatawag na promotion stage, second is the incorporation stage, and last is the formal organization and commencement of business transactions or business operation. Okay, sa promotion stage, sabi nito mga yan, the act of getting it upon, organizing it, and procuring of subscription to capital stock. Taking the preliminary options and making of promotion and financing arrangement by the organizer or promoters with the aid of competent legal advisor. Normally, yung mga yan applicable sa mga big corporation. Na complicated good ba? Mga maraming requirements. Pangalawa is solicitation of pre-incorporation subscriptions such as the registration and or license of security. Pero siyempre kung mag-organize ka ng simple corporation lang, punta ka lang sa SEC, okay, hingi ka ng forms, okay, sample forms doon, or kung gusto mag-draft ka ng sarili mong forms. Kasi tandaan niyo, importante yung forms dyan. Kasi pag hindi nyo kinomply substantially yung form prescribed noong Section 14 ng Republic Act 11232 na dating Section 15 ng BP 68, ground dyan for the okay, denial okay, ng Article of Incorporation or its amendment. Okay? Ngayon, ang procedure, bali una syempre, okay, mag-isip muna kayo ng proposed corporate name. Ngayon, ipa-reserve mo sa SEC. Punta ka sa website nila, pwede mo siyang ipa-reserve. Okay, at valid dyan for a certain period. Kaya yan, submit the intended corporate name to the commission for verification. Okay, kasi pag halimbawa yung proposed corporate name ninyo, identical yan, or not, okay, or similarly, okay, ibig sabihin, identical, okay, or confusingly similar of an existing corporate name, okay, i-deny yan. Okay. Now, pero ginamit natin sa bagong batas sa R 11232, not distinguishable na. Pero nakalagay sa BP 68, bawal kayong gumamit ng corporate name na identical, deceptively, or confusingly similar of an existing corporation or those names already protected by law. Pero I repeat, sa 11232, medyo binago yung term lang. Sinasabi doon na bawal kayo gawin na not distinguishable. Kailangan yung corporate name na pinopropose ay distinguishable siya from another existing corporation or registered na. Okay, una na nagpa-reserve yan, ay hindi mo na pwedeng ipa-reserve yan. Kaya yun una ipa-reserve mo. Siyempre, ang maganda dyan, dapat meron kang at least mga tatlong proposed corporate name para pag deny yung una, like may buffer, meron ka pang reserve. Kaya kung walang kapangalan, then pa-reserve mo na siya. Tapos then, mag-draft na kayo ng Article of Incorporation na kinumply yung form prescribed ng Section 14 ngayon. Kasi tandaan nyo, pag hindi nyo kinumply substantially yung form prescribed ng Section 14, ground dyan for the, okay, denial, okay, ng Article of Incorporation. Okay, tapos, dapat nakatouch yung treasurer's affidavit before na nakalagay na at least 25% of the authorized capital stock must be subscribed and at least 25% ng total subscription must be paid, but in no case should the paid up capital be less than 5,000 pesos. Ngayon, pag pinasa mo yung provision sa Republic Act 11232, wala na nakalagay na treasurer's affidavit. Okay, treasurer's certificate ang nakalagay. Kasi pag halimbawa, ground rin yan for denial ng article eh. Pag ang treasurer's certificate nyo daw, okay, contain a false statement regarding the amount subscribed and or paid up. Sabi mo, sir, ano binagkaiba niya? Normally, affidavit is under oath. Pero isa certification lang. Okay? Statement of asset and liabilities. Okay? Hindi naman na-required ngayon yan. Certificate as to the name of the corporation. Now, okay, wala pang gumagamit nung existing, nung proposed corporate name nyo, yung pina-reserve nyo. Kaya halimbawa kayo ay corporation imbued with public interest. kailangan nyo ng favorable recommendation coming from the appropriate government agency. Okay, halimbawa, bangko, dapat meron kayong favorable recommendation coming from the Bangko Sentral. Kung insurance company, dapat meron kayong favorable recommendation coming from the Insurance Commission. Okay? Kung yan ay school, okay sa CHED or DepEd as the case may be. Kung halimbawa, yan ay tertiary, CHED. Primary, secondary is okay sa DepEd. Then, of course, magbayad kayo ng filing fees. Okay, and of course, kapag halimbawa, na-satisfy na ang SEC na lahat ng requirements set forth by law has been complied with, then ang gagawin nila, they will now issue a certificate of incorporation under its official seal. Okay, and under the corporation law, sinasabi dyan, the corporation commences its legal personality from the time of the issuance ng certificate of incorporation by the SEC under its official seal. Kaya ibig sabihin, hindi kayo magkakaroon ng juridical personality hanggat wala kayong certificate of incorporation. Ngayon, kapag halimbawa na-issue na ang inyong certificate of incorporation, dinakreate na yung juridical personality, dapat kayo ay mag-formally organize na at mag-commence ng business operation, okay, within a period of 2 years. Okay, otherwise, the corporation is deemed dissolved. Okay? Sabi mo, sir, ano po yung formal organization? Di syempre, normally papasok na dyan yung mga, okay, stockholder, mag-e-elect yan ng board of directors. Pero syempre, bago kayo magkaroon ng election ng board of director, dapat meron kayong quorum ng stockholder, which is majority of the outstanding capital stock. Tapos, e-elect ng stockholder si board using cumulative voting pagdating sa stock. Kasi di ba pagdating sa stock corporation, kung meron kayong 1,000 shares and there are 10 directors, 1,000 times 10, I have a total of 10,000 votes and I can concentrate the entire 10,000 votes to one director lang. Actually, ang purpose ng cumulative voting is to give chance to the minority stockholder to have representative in the board of directors. Kasi pwedeng i-pull ng mga minority stockholder yung entire votes nila at i-concentrate lang sa one director para meron silang representative sa BOD. Okay? Pero pag yan ay non-stock corporation, of course, non-cumulative voting. Now, tapos pag na-elect na si board of director, the board of director naman will elect or appoint a corporate officer. Now, sino ba yung mga corporate officers natin sa corporation law? Okay, tatlo lang ang binanggit dyan specifically. President, secretary, and treasurer. Tapos, syempre may dinagdag pa. And such other officer as may be fixed in the article of incorporation. Okay? At may be fixed in the corporate bylaws. Kaya ibig sabihin, kung hindi ka naman pinix doon sa corporate bylaws, abay hindi ka corporate officer. Sabi, sir, ano ka po? Empleyado ka lang. Tanda mo, empleyado ka lang. Okay? Kailangan ikaw ay pinix. Okay, doon sa corporate bylaws. Okay? Now, kaya napansin mo ba na yung stockholder ang mag-e-elect ng board? Kaya kung may power ang stockholder na i-elect ang board of director, may power ang stockholder na i-remove ang corporate director. At si BOD naman ang nag-elect at nag-appoint ng corporate officer, kaya sila rin ang may power na mag-remove ng corporate officer as a rule. Okay? Ngayon, binanggit na president, secretary, treasurer, and such other officer as may be fixed in the corporate bylaws. Okay, article of incorporation or the bylaws. Ngayon, okay, pero may dinagdag ngayon sa Republic 11232. Na pag ito raw ay corporation imbued with public interest, kailangan nyo ng compliance officer. Now, syempre, question, ano ba ang qualification ng president? Of course, the president must be a director. And to become a director, you must be an owner of at least one share of his stock. How about corporate secretary? You must be both resident and citizen of the Philippines. How about corporate treasurer? Dati pag binasa mo yung BP 68, walang nakalagay na qualification yan eh. Nakalagay lang doon sa batas sa BP 68, diba? You may or may not be a director. Pero ngayon, you must be resident of the Philippines. Pero by the way, class, Bago nag-took effect yung Republic Act 11232, practice na talaga ng SEC yan, na ang corporate treasurer must be resident of the Philippines. Kasi ang reason dyan is that being a corporate treasurer, you are holding the corporate fund. Kaya dapat you must be residing in the Philippines. Okay, practice na yan, pero walang nakalagay sa batas. Pero through the repeal of BP 68, specifically, okay, dati kasi nakalagay lang sa SEC opinion yan eh. Ngayon, in-incorporate na yan sa Republic Act 11232. Kaya included na at corporate treasurer must be resident of the Philippines. Now, pwede ba ang concurrent position? Dalawa lang ang bawal sa batas na nakalagay doon specifically. President, okay, Secretary, and President Treasurer. Okay? All other concurrent position as a rule is allowed. Pero syempre, paki-check mo na rin yung provision doon sa Rules on Corporate Governance. Okay? Pero insofar as provision of law is concerned, dalawa lang ang binanggit doon. President, Secretary, saka President, Treasurer lang. Okay, ngayon, ito na sa filing fees. Baka biglang magtanong yung examiner ninyo eh. Mahilig sa practice to eh. Okay, ang filing fee nyo, okay, alam mo, mag-o-organize kayo ng corporation. Ang filing fee niya is 1/5 of 1% of the authorized capital stock. It means the higher the authorized capital stock, the higher the filing fee. Pero hindi raw siya bababa ng 2,000 pesos. Kaya minimum of 2,000 pesos filing fee. Okay, tapos meron kayong legal research fee equivalent to 1% of the filing fee but not less than 10 pesos. Pero actually, dapat din na nilagay itong not less than 10 pesos eh. Kasi kung ang minimum is 2,000 pesos, okay, minimum filing fee is 2,000 regardless of the authorized. Eh, they times mo ng 1% to 20 pesos pa rin yan, di ba? Okay, tama ba yun? Okay. O, di ba? Lalabas doon is 2,000 times 0.01, 20 pesos ang lumalabas. Kaya talagang hindi siya bababa ng 10 pesos. Okay? But not less than 10 pesos. Kaya ibig sabihin, i-fix mo na lang yan, okay, na 10 pesos. Okay? Ngayon, lumalabas dito, bylaws, okay, fix at 1,010. Okay, pero ito sa mga new corporation has to procure a stock and transfer book. Okay, approximately 470 pesos siya. Okay? Now, including the registration of the stock and transfer book. Okay? Ngayon, illustration. Ang authorized capital stock niyo is 10 million. Siyempre, ang filing fee nyo is, di ba, 1/5 ng 1%. Kaya kung 10 million times 1/5 times 1%, 20,000. Tapos yung, okay, legal research fee. Okay, na 20,000 times 1%, 200. Tapos yung bylaws, naka-fix yan, di ba sabi ko is 1,010. Kaya lumalabas ang approximate registration fee nyo is 21,210. Pwede nyo kung merong calculator sa SEC website, pwede nyo siyang i-check. Kaya kung gusto nyo mag-sample computation, okay, pwede kayo pumunta sa SEC. Meron siyang calculator doon. Kaya kung halimbawa, ang authorized capital stock nyo naman is 50,000 lang, lumalabas ang filing fee nyo is 50,000 times 1/5 times 1%, which is 100. Eh kasi di ba may minimum na 2,000, kaya dapat ang filing fee nyo is 2,000. Legal research fee na 20,000 times 1%, which is 20, and bylaws na 1,010, approximate registration fee is 3,030. Kaya sabi ko sa inyo dito, yung nilagay dito nung SEC na not less than 10, malabong mangyari yan eh. Kasi kung meron kang minimum na filing fee of 2,000 times, okay, 1%, 20 dapat ang lumalabas na amount dyan. Kasi kahit na ilagay mong 5,000 pesos lang yung okay, lumalabas, 2,000 pa rin. Okay, ang babayaran ninyong filing fee. Okay? Kasi lumalabas, not less than 5,000 ang filing fee. Okay. By the way, ito, normally dapat hindi ito itanong ng examiner kasi mga specific, ano yan eh, specific corporation na kailangan, ito yung mga corporation na kailangan ng favorable recommendation coming from the appropriate government agency. Okay? Kaya dapat din natanong yan. Kasi dapat mga ordinary corporation lang tayo. Pero by the way, i-check natin ha, katulad ito, the air transport, kailangan meron kayong favorable recommendation coming from the Civil Aeronautic Board. Kung bangko yan, pawn shop, di ba? Under supervision kasi ng Bangko Sentral yan. Professional boxing, of course, sa Games Amusement Board. Operation of games of chance, okay? Lotto win, mga lotto, o di sa PCSO. Educational institution, okay, for elementary and to high school, di ba? Primary and secondary sa DepEd. Education institution, college or tertiary course, CHED na yan. Okay, kung halimbawa technical or vocational course naman sa TESDA. Electric power plant, of course, Department of Health, Department of Energy. Okay, hospitals is Department of Health. Insurance is Insurance Commission. Okay, land transport is LTFRB, the Land Transportation Franchise Regulatory Board. Water transport, construction and building of vessels, maritime, okay, industry authority sa marina to. Operation of radio, television, and telephone, okay, sa NTC. Recruitment for overseas employment, okay, that is POEA. And security agency is Philippine National Police. Okay, pakibasa nyo lang, pero of course, dapat normally hindi yan itanong sa CPA board exam. Pero pag tinanong, kayo lang ang tinanong, di ba? Okay, kaya gusto nyo, paki-familiarize na lang. Okay, ngayon, let us proceed dito sa gawa na lang ako ng separate video dito sa content ng article of incorporation. Okay, check ko muna baka may hindi nakasave ang aking page. Okay? Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Kasi mahaba. Separate video ko na lang. Okay.